Marcus by Goldman Sachs. It's an organization that I've been using for the last couple of years. And in today's video, we're gonna find out whether or not it's for you. I'm gonna tell you everything from the pros to cons, the best feature, frequently asked questions, so that then you can make the best decision for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, consider subscribing to the channel. And with that being said, let's jump right into it.
When I first started using Marcus, I never knew this organization existed up until 2022 timeframe. And this is when my wife and I had just gotten out of debt. We had about $215,000, absolutely astronomical amount in a negative way. And when we started looking into emergency funds and improving our personal finance, we wanted to start earning interest on the money that we had for our emergency funds. We wanted to also have flexible access to our money, inflation protection, because we all know that inflation eats away our hard-earned money. It decreases our purchasing power. And also, we wanted to save for a house, car, and also our vacations, because we knew that we wanted to grow our family. So all of these items or these goals in our list were important. So needless to say, I want to show you a picture here of the car that we got with our savings, and the house is next, right? So maybe one day as a millennial, you can relate, and maybe one day we'll be able to afford a house. So this is the car that my wife and I got. We are very happy that we saved up for this. These are the things that I want you to have for yourself as well, right? I want you to be able to reach your goals, your dreams. And that's the reason I want to make this video, because I know that Marcus may be the tool that can help you get there. So when it comes to high yield savings accounts, there's a couple of things that I want you to pay attention to. And these are the things that we're going to be going over in today's video. We're going to go over a competitive APY. We are going to go over monthly fees, minimum deposit. These are the things that I personally look for when I'm considering a high yield savings account. And needless to say, of course, we are looking at FDIC insurance just in case the bank goes sideways. A number of withdrawals allowed per month of at least 6. Unlimited is ideal, but at least 6 is okay. And of course, an easy to use app, a web application, and human customer service, very, very important in my personal book, because you want to talk to somebody that is friendly, at least for my liking and preference. And of course, at the end of the day, the warm and fuzzy feeling of confidence, trust, comfort, and familiarity. So with all this being said, we are going to be looking at these guidelines, and these are our personal requirements when it comes to choosing a high yield savings account. And these are the things that you can look for regardless of what organization you want to go with. So let's jump right into it, shall we? And as of right now, as of almost May in 2024, the variable interest rate for the high yield savings account of Marcus is at 4.4%. Now, one little piece of insight I want to share here with you is that this interest rate, and overall, one of the downsides with high yield savings accounts is that these interest rates are not permanent, right? These interests absolutely change with respect to what the Federal Reserve does with interest rates. So right now, it's a bad time for borrowing money, but for saving money, it's a good deal. So it's good to take advantage of this interest rate nowadays, or overall on high yield savings accounts, not just for Marcus. Now, when it comes to account opening bonus, Marcus by Goldman Sachs currently offers a plus 1% APY for 3 months. So that is, if the current APY is at 4.4%, if you use the link in the description, you can get a plus 1% APY for 3 months. So that will bump you up to a 5.4 APY. And that 1%, believe it or not, it adds up, especially the more money you have to save up, then the more you can start making with that additional 1%. Now, another piece of information that is very important and critical in my personal opinion is FDIC insurance. Now, we are going to be talking about FDIC insurance a little bit more in the further coming up slides. But yes, Marcus by Goldman Sachs is insured up to $250,000. Personally, I do not bank, or I wouldn't even consider an organization that is not FDIC insured, which, believe me, I have seen some advertisements out there that offer you a very high APY, but then they're not FDIC insured, they're not banks, and these are just something else, right? Something else that personally I don't want to get into here in this video. Okay, so now when it comes to minimum deposit and maintenance fees, Marcus by Goldman Sachs, it's absolutely free. There's no minimum deposit, no maintenance fees. And of course, as always check the website for the latest information. But generally speaking, most of the features, aside from the APY, and maybe the bonus will remain in place. I'm trying to make these videos as evergreen as possible. All right, so now when it comes to best features for Marcus by Goldman Sachs, the access is the web application, the app itself. There's unfortunately no ATM that you can take advantage of with Marcus by Goldman Sachs, and that is because they do not offer a checking account and their savings account does not come with an ATM. This is going to be one of those things that you might want to start paying attention to in case you are someone that wants to access your money right away by transferring to a checking account and maybe using an ATM with a debit card. So this is something to keep in mind. All right, so now when it comes to making deposits, the way you can fund your account in Marcus by Goldman Sachs is you can do the regular transfer, you can do direct deposit, you can do a wire transfer, you can also mail a check. Now, one thing to keep in mind with wire transfer is that if you are receiving a wire transfer, in the case of this account, let's say that you open your account and you wanna fund your account, then in this case, the wire transfer will be free. However, if you're wiring out your account, then there is usually a fee. With most organizations that I've seen, there's usually a fee, so it's just something to keep in mind. Now, how long does it take for a withdrawal to reach your external account? So let's say, for example, I have an account with SoFi, I have an account with Marcus by Goldman Sachs, I have accounts with many other organizations, and when I transfer to my Marcus account, the transfer usually takes a couple of hours. And this falls in alignment with what they offer here, and that is the same day transfer for $100,000 or less. Now, if you're transferring more than $100,000, it may take a little bit longer, a couple of maybe 1 to 3 business days. But I want to say most people would be okay with a transfer of same day for $100,000 or less. Now, when it comes to other products, so let's say that you are looking for a hub, you are looking maybe for a checking account, you are looking for a way to start establishing your credit cards and building your credit or improving your credit, then in that case, Marcus may not be the best fit, because the only thing they offer aside from savings accounts, they offer certificates of deposit, which are essentially like high yield savings accounts. They have similar interest rates. The main difference with CDs is the fact that you cannot use it. You basically lock up your money for a certain period of time, and that's it. So they offer those services as well, those products, and they also offer credit cards, but they're not that popular. They're just kind of the way I personally see it. They're just basic credit cards, and they may be for you. You can check them out, and maybe you want to start using credit cards with Marcus as well. Now, when it comes to branding facts, now this is something that I personally love learning about. When I will go over these reviews, it's certainly important to know what a bank comes from, right? It's like when you get to know someone or a person, it's important to know their story, because then you kind of empathize a little bit more with the person. You start finding relevancies and find things a little bit more relatable when you know somebody's story. So in my personal experience and from my perspective, when it comes to companies, it's like the same, right? So in the case of Marcus by Goldman Sachs, originally this organization, the high yield savings account portion, was founded back in 2016. And of course, this company is associated, as the name suggests, with Goldman Sachs, Marcus by Goldman Sachs. And Goldman Sachs was founded back in 1869 by, believe it or not, you know what the name of the founder of Goldman Sachs was? His name was Mark Goldman. It's kind of like an interesting piece of history right there on how Mark Goldman, the founder of Goldman Sachs, founded his company in 1869, and he focused on helping people that were not generally being paid attention to back in the 1800s by the big New York companies at the time. This may or may not sway you in the right direction. Again, maybe this is just me, but the more I get to know someone, then the more things I find in common and the more relatable it becomes. Now, you might be wondering, okay, so how many times can I withdraw from my Marcus high yield savings account? And according to the website, is you can withdraw unlimitedly. Now, there are some organizations out there that give you a limit of 6 withdrawals per month, sometimes 10. There was a federal regulation of 6 withdrawals per month maximum up until April 2020. But we all know what happened in 2020. It was a crazy year. And that's when the Federal Reserve said, okay, we're going to lift this regulation. We're going to suspend it. So now it's up to banks. Some banks, that's why they allow you unlimited. Some of them give you 6, 10. So it just depends on who you are considering for your needs. Now, when it comes to customer service and reviews, what are people saying? Personally, when it comes to customer service, it has customer service available. I have talked to them, I have called them, and they fix my requests on the spot. And one thing I want to mention here is, I don't know if it's just my experience or just me. I'm sure people's experiences are going to be different, but the customer service from Marcus has been super, super nice. They're very respectful. They're very polite. And another organization that comes to mind when it comes to customer service is Laurel Road. Now, I'm not talking about that specific bank here in this video, but when I called it, honestly, that was the nicest, most respectful, most polite customer service rep I had ever talked to. So Laurel Road, shout out to Laurel Road. But of course, that doesn't take away anything from the customer service from Marcus, at least, again, based on my personal experience. Okay, so now when it comes to reviews, and according to NerdWallet and Bankrate for the savings account portion, Marcus gets a 4.5% from NerdWallet, 4.1% from Bankrate. And one thing to keep in mind, and whenever I go over these reviews, it's always, hey, whenever we are hearing people out on their concerns and reviews, always pay attention to the 1 stars, the 2 stars, the negative reviews, because those are the ones that are going to tell you the most, about a certain organization. And if it comes back repeatedly, if it's a concern that people just keep complaining about, then that's something to be worried about and be concerned about. But if it's kind of like a one-off and an outlier per se, personally, I don't think it would be that much big of a concern as something that just keeps popping up here and there. All right, so before we go into the pros and cons, it's important to understand some frequently asked questions here. And these are the questions that I've gathered from online and from you guys, because this is not the first time that I go over these reviews. So one very common question that I see is, hey, is it safe to put your money into Marcus? So I believe this type of question stems from some news a little while ago that Marcus was going to shut down. I looked into it a little bit, didn't go too far in. But at the end of the day, Marcus was shutting down part of their investment portfolio or their investment services. And if you go to the website right now, you're going to see that now the company that is going to be handling Marcus's investment side is going to be Betterment. Now, here's what I have to say. The way I personally see this is Marcus is as safe as it could be for a bank, right? You have your FDIC insurance, which covers you up to $250,000. And of course, you also have additional online safety features like the cyber engineering. And this is what all the engineering comes into place, and security and IT features for the network and security for their app and website. Now, that's as far as I can tell when it comes to security, right? I only focus on what I can control, and that's about it. But another thing that many times we don't pay attention to is the additional safety and privacy that we can personally look into and gather on our own. And that is the case, for example, a VPN. Now, a VPN is a virtual private network that allows you to keep your identity, your financial information, your personal information more secure. And this reduces the chances of getting your personal info stolen, reduces the chances of you going through identity theft. So personally, I am a big fan of VPNs, and the one that I recommend is Surfshark. Now, Surfshark is a premium VPN. So if you are interested in increasing your safety online and keeping your information, financial, personal, and all other information secure, then check out Surfshark VPN. And I'm going to leave a link to this in the description below. Now, another frequently asked question that I see with Marcus is, hey, if Marcus fails, let's say, as a bank or a bank in general, if the bank fails, this reminds me of Silicon Valley Bank a little while ago that it failed. How do I get my money back? Well, here is what I found out, because I was also interested in knowing how this works. So if a bank fails, it will usually be bought by another bank, and your account will just transfer to the new organization. And this reminds me right here, a long time ago, I used to work at a bank as a supervisor. And whenever customers would come in with their deposits, there were 1 or 2 banks that were part of the organization, but they were from a different region. And they had a different routing number. They had a different way of processing the account and the deposit. And this reminds me of that instance, because I think those banks were bought. They were bought out by the bigger organization which I was working for. So let me just tell you that whenever a bank gets bought out by another organization, they want to keep as much as possible the same, because otherwise it just creates a whole logistical nightmare of rearranging routing numbers and giving accounts to all these customers and updating the history. Now, here's what happens. If no one buys the bank, let's say that the bank is just too far gone, right? Like there's no return, then the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, will step in and they will write you a check within a couple of business days. Now, I have seen some timelines between maybe 2 business days, 3 business days. So this is kind of like the general plan that goes when a bank fails. So if you ever experience a failure from a bank and you've had that unpleasant experience, I would love to know your take and what your experience actually was. But on paper, theoretically, this is what would take place. Now, another frequently asked question that you might be interested in, because this can help you increase your income at no extra cost to you, is, hey, how can I make extra money with Marcus? Now, easily, you can make extra money with Marcus through referring friends. So this is how it works. And I personally taken advantage of this as well. So for every friend that you refer, you can get 1% plus APY for 3 months, and you have a maximum of 5 referrals per calendar year. So this means that for Marcus, if you start referring friends, you get an extra 15 months. That is a year and 1.25 years, right? A year and a quarter of 1% APY above what they're currently offered to the public. So right now, I am getting 5.4%. If the interest rate goes back up to 4.5%, I will be getting 5.5% for 15 months. And again, this could be you. So if you open an account with Marcus with a link in the description, and you also share your own link with other people because maybe you like the account, and assuming that you like it and you recommend it and you believe in it, then you could also reap the benefits of making extra money with Marcus, which 1% is a lot, depending on how much money, of course, you have to deposit and start your saving journey. So that's all when it comes to frequently asked questions. And now when it comes to pros and cons from Marcus, there's a couple of big items that I want to go over here with you. So generally speaking, the pros for Marcus are the competitive APY, the bonus of plus 1% APY. I think they transfer up $100,000 or less. There's no minimum deposit and monthly fees. There's also FDIC insurance of $250,000. And personally, I have never had any problems. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is when it comes to these same-day transfers, there was one question that kept coming up a little while ago from clients like yours and viewers. And they were asking why Marcus sometimes would take 5 business days or longer to transfer their money. And when I contacted Marcus by Goldman Sachs, they told me that sometimes it takes a little longer to make sure that you are the one that is, number one, sending the money to another account, and also that the receiving account also owns to you or is related to you in one way or another. Now, in my book, that is a safety feature that is good to have, because anybody can just transfer money out of your account and it could just go into a black hole. But if we take the necessary steps to make sure that you are the one also receiving the account, then I think it's a good thing. Now, of course, it's frustrating because sometimes you just need the money right away, especially if you're buying a house, if you need an emergency where you need a lot of money. But that's just something to keep in mind. And if you are someone that runs into this problem, or to prevent this problem, one thing that I would suggest you do is calling customer service and letting them know, hey, I'm about to make a big purchase. Please process it as soon as possible and don't wait 5 days or 10 business days, because I am the one that is also receiving the money on the other end. So maybe they can help streamline the process. Okay, so now when it comes to cons, there's, of course, no branches. It's fully online, which I do understand that sometimes when it comes to fully online organizations, sometimes we need a little bit of trust. We need to build trust with these online institutions, especially, I was talking to my brother a couple of days ago. He was telling me that although he wants to start making high interest on his savings, he's also very skeptical about banking fully online with an organization. And I totally get it, because I know that's exactly how I personally felt. Now, if you're someone that is a little skeptical about banking with an organization fully online, one thing that I suggest you do is you could technically start slow, start small. Maybe you can start with $100, $200, just to see how the process works, just to see how the bank operates, how the whole system works. You can make some withdrawals to see you can actually get your money, how long it takes to get your money, kind of like to test out the process before you fully commit. And then you can, of course, start banking with them fully. So that's just one piece of insight and recommendation suggestion that I share with you if you are very skeptical about these online institutions. Also, another con that I see with Marcus is that there's no checking account. So if you're looking for a new bank overall or a hub, then it may not be for you. There's also no investment products handled by Marcus. As I mentioned, the investment portion Marcus announced on the website that it would go under Betterment. So to put it all together, would I recommend Marcus to my younger self? And this is me in Yellowstone. And if you've never been to Yellowstone, then you need to go there as soon as possible. It's an amazing place, and I will never forget that experience. So having said that, would I recommend Marcus to my younger self? I would say yes, if I'm using a competitive, if I want a competitive APY. It's not just about the interest. You know, there are other organizations out there that offer a higher APY than Marcus, but they do not give me the warm and fuzzy feeling of trust, comfort, and that's one of the things that I personally feel with Marcus. Again, that's just me. Another thing is simple savings. It's just a raw savings account where you can just automate your deposits every month, every 2 weeks, however often you get paid, and you can just let it grow. There's also no fees, no maintenance deposit, no maintenance fees, no minimum deposit. And it's also associated with an established financial organizations like Goldman Sachs, and it's also the quick access to the money. It only takes a couple of hours, and I've tested this feature time and time again. Now, if you are looking for the highest APY available, if you're looking for physical branches, if you're looking for a hub, like you're looking for a checking account for investing needs, maybe you want to have everything in one place, that maybe, just maybe, also if you're looking for an ATM access, then maybe Marcus is not for you. Now, one option that comes to mind when it comes to having a check-in, when it comes to having an ATM card, having savings, investment needs with a high competitive APY is SoFi. Of course, there are certain requirements that you need to meet with that bank account, but I'm going to leave a link to that in the description if you are interested in this as well. If you are interested in opening an account with Marcus by Goldman Sachs, then check the link in the description. You can get a +1 APY for 3 months. And the way I personally see it, it's just free money. You can pay your rent with it. You can buy some Chipotle. You can buy all kinds of stuff with an additional 1% for 3 months.
So what do you think? Is Marcus by Goldman Sachs for you? Does it fit your needs? Will it help you achieve your goals? Let me know in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out the links in the description for other services with free money and rewards. Last but not least, if you are someone that is in debt, make sure that you click the link in the description, because I do have a free course step-by-step on how I can help you get out of debt based on my personal experience, getting rid of $215,000.